Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Covenant Army Podcast, where our mission is to equip couples to align with God and win the daily battle raging against marriage and family. I am Brent, and I'm here again with my beautiful wife, Miss Lucy.
Hello, beautiful family.
Guys, we're so excited to have you with us here today, because on today's podcast, guys, we're celebrating 16 years of marriage.
Amen to that.
That's right, guys. It's our anniversary. Well, actually, today, as you're listening to the podcast, because we pre-recorded it, we might be on a plane right now heading to some exotic location. And by exotic, I mean Illinois. So
I was going to say, were we switching courses here? Because I remember where we're going.
Hey, it might be spontaneous. I might try it. You never know. As long as you get to the airport and you just trust me, baby.
Just pick a flight.
Pick a flight.
Got it.
But, yeah. Happy anniversary, babe.
Well, happy anniversary. It's been a great ride so far.
It's been an awesome ride, man. When I think back about the 16 years we've been together, it seems like we just got started.
Yes.
That seems like a hesitation. Has it been longer for you?
Well, I mean, we've been together 17 years, so 16 years married, but it's been a great ride. There's so many things that I think about. So I know we typically will look at pictures throughout our life around this time just to remember things, and so many memories, so many different and unique seasons that we have hit together, and I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else.
Okay, that's good. So thinking about it back about 16 years ago and where we're at today, did you see it coming, or has it been a little bit of a
Did I see what coming?
Everything that we're doing now?
Well, absolutely not. When we first got married, I never, ever would have thought that we would be doing this kind of work, being involved in ministry to this degree, marriage being our thing. This is what we do. Never would have thought that back at the beginning.
I wouldn't think about it either. But, that's just like God, right? Picking someone that doesn't make sense, that's unqualified, that if people knew us back then, I know at least for me, probably the farthest from where I'm at today. Like, yeah, I can't even go into it because it's like a 180-degree turn.
Wasn't that what God does, though? Like, if you look at the people in the Bible, it was the least likely people that he chose to put in the Bible.
Yeah.
Right? As kind of models and examples, because it is kind of run-of-the-mill people that to somebody else just looks like a just average Joe that you wouldn't see coming at all. That's who God picks. Because I remember, thinking back at the beginning of our relationship, doing very different careers, right? Never thinking for a second that this was the direction we were headed.
Yeah.
God is awesome.
He is awesome. He put this on our heart. But as far as the course that it all kind of played out, because, we got married in 2008. I got deployed in 2009. I got back in 2010.
That's crazy.
That's when we got baptized in 2010 because we weren't walking with the Lord at that time.
That was one of the roughest years, I feel, of my life. I don't know about you.
Oh, it was a cakewalk. I loved it. It was awesome.
A whole year right after we got married to be apart.
What's it say in the Bible? Isn't there something in the Bible like
It does say in the Bible that when a couple gets married, that a man's not to be sent off.
Like I said, we weren't following God at that point, babe. We did probably the opposite.
We didn't know, but the Bible says like after.
Apparently, the U.S. Army doesn't read the Bible because it didn't abide by that.
No, they sent you right off.
Yes.
So you were gone for a whole year, and it was probably, when I think back, one of those, like one of the worst years, but also one of the best years, because in the midst of that and me being just missing you so much and just being depressed about you not being with me, God sent somebody into my life. I wasn't going to church before then. We had talked about, finding a church to bring the kids to because we wanted that in our life. But obviously you were gone, and it was just, me and the kids. And I remember God sending someone that I would never have expected to be that somebody that would take me to a church. And that was while you were gone. And I remember after I went to that church, just feeling something different that I've never felt before.
Right.
I grew up Catholic, so I was expecting something like that when she took me there, but it was just different, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Right? And I remember speaking to you that night because that was one great thing that we did was we talked every night when you were gone via Skype. I
It
remember
wasn't
sharing.
every single night, but
Well,
it was many nights. We were
I,
able
I
to.
remember there was possibly 2 nights in the whole year that there was like sandstorms or whatever that you didn't call because you couldn't connect. But for the most part, like we did a great job staying connected throughout that whole year. And I just remember that day after going to that church and feeling, something that was good, but I didn't know what it was then. And just sharing that with you and saying, wow, I think I found the church, that we could go to as a family. And I remember you being excited about that and, just being encouraging about once you got back, we would start going together. But man, was that like a turning point in my life.
Mm.
I started going to that church.
Yes, we started going to that church, and God used that church in a big way in our lives, which is a big stepping stone to where we're at today.
Yeah.
Because we got baptized in that church together by our pastor, and that was pretty awesome within itself to get baptized with your spouse. That was awesome.
Was it like just a few months later?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a few months later because it was really quick.
Mm-hmm.
But just having our pastor speak over us in that moment after we came out of the water.
Right.
And sharing, I believe it was through the Holy Spirit that he saw ministry in our lives.
Right.
And that we're going to minister to a big group of people. And who knows what that means? You know what I mean? But where we're at today, I know that was God speaking through him. So that was awesome. And that it wasn't the big, super beginning of our journey, but it definitely was a springboard to where we're at today. And that was, 14 years ago. So that's pretty cool.
So I'm just remembering his words then. I don't know if you remember them word like verbatim.
I didn't write them down.
I remember, well, it was one of those moments that just kind of gets just seared into your mind forever. I remember him looking at us and saying, he asked us if we had kids, right? And at the time we had 4 and 1 on the way. I was pregnant. And I remember him looking at us and saying, I see ministry in you guys. I see ministry in you, and it's going to start in your family. But I see ministry in you guys. And it was like, I didn't think about it then. I'm sure you didn't think
even
about
know
it
what
then.
ministry was at that point.
Right.
So,
but fast forward to today, just that was such a prophetic word coming from him. Then I don't even know if we were to remind him of that, if we were to remember that, because I'm sure he's probably baptized, a ton of people. But it was just so awesome to be able to have that memory, to think back that he spoke that over us, and here we are today.
Yeah, it's been good. And we've had a lot of different ups and downs throughout these 16 years of being married, but I honestly feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's exciting to know in the future, one day we'll look back. It's not going to be 16 years. It could be, God willing, 60 years.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm
so
saying?
Awesome.
If the Lord permits it to be, and maybe we'll get lucky and go together if that happens. Kind of like the Notebook.
Yes, absolutely.
But just thinking like through those 16 years, we've learned a lot and we've grown a lot. And we still got a lot to learn. Like we always share on the podcast, guys. We're not perfect. We don't have it all figured out. Like we're still in school. You know what I mean? Like school about learning about each other.
Right.
And school learning about marriage.
Right.
Because obviously, I'm not the same person you married back 16 years ago.
Neither am I.
I was going to say you aren't either. Because
Right.
we're constantly growing and learning and changing. So we have to stay intentional about that.
Being students
of each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know one thing that I know that we have established in our relationship throughout the years is rituals of connection. I think is super important for couples to instill that practice into their marriage, to stay connected. There's so many things that we have done throughout the years that have become staples in our relationship that keep us connected.
So thinking about those last 16 years, right? What's one ritual of connection, one habit that we have added to our marriage that you feel has been definitely one of those staples that you're talking about?
Well, one of the things that I know for sure is waking up together and going to bed together. We've never been that couple that is split in the morning and split in the evening. We've been very intentional about waking up together, even those mornings where I was a stay-at-home mom and you were going off to work and you were waking up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock. I remember being tired because I'm not a morning person, but getting up with you and just having that moment with you before you went off to work, and then having that moment again at night together. Something we've done throughout our marriage that I feel has always kind of kept us connected.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely a huge, huge factor. And it's something to look forward to every single day as well. It's good to know coming home that you're going to be able to have that moment and that time together. So that's been really good.
So that was nice to establish that early on. I mean, now we work together at home. So now we just get to wake up together and spend the day together, which is awesome, which was honestly a prayer of mine early on, that we would be able to do something that we could do together. There's such a uniqueness, I feel, about our relationship that I haven't recognized in somebody else's relationship. And obviously we don't know everybody, but there's a uniqueness to our togetherness, I feel, that keeps us walking in sync.
Well, I think that uniqueness for sure is Christ, because I can tell you, and we've talked about this before, like, I don't get tired of spending time with you. I don't get bored being with you.
Right.
Never have this longing like, man, I just need to go out and just do me.
Right.
Like, I don't have that. And it is kind of unique, I think, because you don't hear a lot of people talking that way about their spouses. Usually you hear like, hey, got to get away from the old ball and chain. It needs a little time to get out and spread my wings and X, Y, and Z.
Right.
To me, that's just like very foreign.
And listen, it's not every couple that can be this way. Like, right? Like there are some couples that, have their separate times, and if it works for your marriage and you still feel super connected, like, good for you. I just know for us, that has been something that's very unique. And I've actually had people ask me, like, how do you not get tired of being together all the time?
What's wrong with you guys? Like, something wrong with you.
I think we've heard that one too. But no, I feel the same. I don't get tired of being with you and of coming up with, different things to do together. And just this, all I can think of is a togetherness that God has built in our relationship that, I don't know, keeps us walking in agreement.
Okay. So, I want to ask you this question. Hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot.
Oh, geez.
In 16 years, right, we've been ups and there's been downs, and you've probably picked up some head knowledge between here and there, some heart knowledge. What's one thing that you would now impart to yourself 16 years ago, specifically about marriage, that you've learned, that like, man, if I could have picked that up a little sooner, if I'd have known that, that's something I would want to tell myself. Think
Specifically
hard.
About marriage.
Specifically about marriage. A young Lucy on her wedding day that a wise woman would share with her about marriage.
Always be patient and kind no matter what. Because I know there have been times in our past that I probably wasn't the kindest or the most patient with you. So, I mean, sure, there weren't many. I always tried to be very respectful, but I know just my demeanor, I can be very direct and sometimes can come across harsh. So I would go back and say, be kind and patient.
Nice.
What about you? Since you put me on the spot, it's only fair for me to ask you.
That's a great question. And you did put me on the spot, but I think I came up with something. I would say what I would want to impart to myself, and hopefully I wouldn't be too prideful in that moment to be able to receive it. It would be that God has put this woman in your life to help you take her advice. Because
nice. I like that one.
Well, I share that because I can look back over 16 years and honestly say that many times when we've had our little disruptions has been because I just wanted to do things my way and I wasn't really receiving what you're trying to share with me. And most of the time you're seeing things from a different perspective than me. And 99.9% of the time, if I can receive that, I can achieve whatever I'm trying to do a lot sooner and a lot smoother.
Hmm.
So that's probably what I would tell myself. Like, you don't have it all figured out. She's here to help you. Take the feedback.
Hmm.
So that's what I would say.
Okay.
So
That's good. I like that one.
it's true, because I've noticed for myself that many times it's because, you get in this whole, I know the right way and I know how to do it and, don't slow me down kind of stuff.
Is that a guy thing, would you say?
I would probably say more than likely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a little bit of that leadership that God has put in us to lead our family, but he never meant for us to do it alone.
Right.
And I think that whole suitable helper thing is a real thing.
That thing that God came up with early on is a good thing.
I do. I think, and this is probably not biblical and it's probably not right, but I think the rib that he took out of man might have a little brain tissue in there. And part of our brain is missing an aspect, and if we can get that back and receive it, we might have a full brain. That's just me.
Yeah,
Again, not theological, but just my own little take on it.
Obviously, God made man and woman very different, but to work together for it to be good.
Yeah.
And it's only good if we're working together, not if one is pulling more than the other, because we're equal in the eyes of Christ, right? But we're equal in God's eyes. He made us to be equals, but we play very different roles.
Yep.
When we learn how to merge those two together, there is such a sweet spot in marriage that just makes me want to encourage people to get married.
Well, and that's what I think has been a big takeaway in these 16 years. Marriage is better together. And I know that may sound really crazy because you can be married and not be together. Like I've met many couples that are living together and been together a long time, but live separate lives.
Yeah.
But I can say from experience, these 17 years we've been together, that every time that we're experiencing and doing life together,
right,
sharing together, experiencing these things together, it's been better.
Yeah.
Hands down.
For sure.
And I think that's a big benefit.
I just want to encourage couples in that. Like, do things together more often. Create those rituals of connection throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
It helps with your emotional connection. That intimacy that both of you are longing for, but don't know that you have that need.
Mm-hmm.
The other person is there to provide something that God put in them to provide something for you that you're needing.
So what is one of those rituals of connection that that we've added over these 16 years that has been a staple to keep us in that mindset of togetherness?
Outside of waking up and going to bed together, because I feel like those are kind of rituals of connection.
For sure.
I feel like the morning devotions that we do is definitely something that has helped us grow spiritually together as a couple. Mm-hmm. A lot to talk about there, and just keeping God in the center of our relationship has been key to this whole walk. For sure, hands down. Exercising together. That's another one that we do.
Yep.
5 days a week. Just to be healthy and encourage each other to stay healthy. I mean, if we got married for our whole life to be together, right, until death do us part, don't want that death to come too soon.
No.
Before we get to experience life together. So those are just a couple that, I've noticed. Do you have a couple more that you can share?
Yeah, for sure. Friday date day.
Oh, yes.
I think carving out Friday date day has been a huge benefit for us, and I love it. I mean, I love every week having just the expectation of us doing something for us.
Right.
Yes, we're parents.
Right.
Right, but we need time as husband and wife.
Right.
And carving that time out together, it gives us time to try new things, but also just carve out that time just to be husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend again.
Yes. Yeah.
So I like that a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Something else that I really love to do, and it's coming up here next month. I'm going to marriage conferences. We've been to a couple of those. I'm going to go here next month.
Yeah.
I think that's super beneficial for couples to not just be around other couples of the same mindset that want to work and grow in their relationship, but constantly keep learning.
Right.
Because like we shared before, like you're not stagnant in marriage. You're not just the husband and the wife. You're growing as a husband, growing as a wife, and never stop learning about each other and learning about marriage.
Right.
Because there's always something to learn.
There's another one that I just remembered, serving together.
Yes.
We serve together. at church, which is awesome to be able to have that togetherness there as well.
It's good. So, before we wrap up the podcast, babe, 16 years. It's been a blessing. It's been awesome, but I honestly think we're just getting started.
I feel the same way. I can't wait to see what God's got in store for us.
100%. Like the pastor used to say, the best is yet to come.